Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So the Black Ops 4 beta weekend just ended today, and I put quite a bit of time into it. I reached level 36, and I wanted to share my thoughts and kind of my feedback on what I feel like Treyarch needs to improve on going into the next weekend of the beta when it opens up for all the other systems and it reopens again for PS4. Because while I did have a lot of fun this weekend playing it overall, I did encounter a lot of frustrating moments and stuff playing by myself as well as with my friends. So this video is going to be more of a critique and I guess more negative kind of video focusing on things I want fixed. But before I get into kind of the negatives, I wanted to just say real quick that the specialists are very fun in this game, and this game in general gets quite a few things right. The pacing feels on top, feels really good compared to like Call of Duty World War II. I like the pacing. The specialists, even the ones that were copied and pasted from Black Ops 3, they feel different and more fun to use. Stuff like the Ruin, who can now grapple hook into a gravity slam, feels really awesome and really sick, to be honest. And since the cooldowns are longer, it doesn't feel like you're getting constantly spammed by these specialists as well. So it feels more gun on gun and not as like specialist focused. My biggest concern going into this beta was the manual health, like how you heal yourself manually now. And I actually think that's one of the best improvements to the beta so far. Like one of the best improvements to the franchise is that you can manually heal your health. And the piece of equipment that lets you heal more often and faster is also completely balanced. I feel like it helps with the pacing. I really like the manual heal. Overall, the guns feel and sound good. The fact that the game feels more catered to one class than the other, I'll get into that in a little bit, is a different story. But overall, this game does get things right. It's more team-based, so there's no more assists. That way, if you get a few bullets into a guy, or actually, if you almost completely kill a guy, but a teammate gets the final blow, you get full credit for the kill. No more annoying moments where you only get an assist, or like 20 points. But all that aside, I wanted to start talking about things that actually bothered me, things that I found were red flags going into the second week of the beta and the final game, stuff that I would like them to fix. And right off the bat, I think that there's way too much health in this game. Health is currently set at 150, and it honestly feels like it takes way too many bullets to kill people. And with the way the connections are, which honestly the connections did not feel great, they felt very inconsistent match to match, gunfights a lot of the times feel very RNG. They feel random. Someone like me who feels very confident in his Call of Duty skills and his hit scan skills in general, I felt like going into gunfights was very random. Like, there's times where I could be aimed down sight, walk around a corner, and shoot a guy first and die. And then there were other times where this guy's putting bullets into me and I was able to 180 him, and I'm like, how the heck did I turn on this guy? Like, I'm sitting there scratching my head both directions. So I think that health needs to be reduced to 125 or 130. And on the topic of health, I think body armor needs to be completely removed from this game. The only exception is if you're using the Crash Specialist, whose special ability is to armor his entire team once every time he uses it. I think that's okay, and I think it'd be cool if they got rid of it, because it would make the Crash Specialist feel more special. It'd make him feel stronger. But body armor in general feels like this cheap little, like, it feels like Painkiller from Modern Warfare 2. Well, you'll smash a lobby of noobs, and all of a sudden when you go to rush their spawn, they have Painkiller, and they're able to absorb a bunch of shots for free and kill you just because they have a thing. It's one of those things where you just have to accept that you're going to lose this gunfight, and I hate stuff like that in shooter games. I find that absolutely frustrating. That no matter how good my aim or my gun skill is, that this guy's going to win the gunfight for free just this one time because I happened to run into him and he happened to be the first encounter that he had with me with body armor. So yeah, too much health, too much body armor. I feel like there was a lot of frame rate drops and connection issues over the course of this beta. I didn't really play until Saturday, where most of that stuff should have been smoothed out since the beta launched like Thursday evening. So I don't know, like frame rate, not great. The graphics are not that impressive for a Treyarch game that's been worked on for allegedly 3 years. Like, the textures are kind of bad. The color palette is absolutely terrible. Like, enemies and teammates blend in with the map. Like, I've never played a game, especially the map Gridlock, the little dark freeway area where people camp in the dark underneath the freeway underpass. Very, very hard to discern enemies from the environment. I think that's a problem. So I don't like how the colors are in this beta. I find it kind of alarming that there's like the same skull kill feed symbol for like 6 different things in this game when we're 2 months away from the full game releasing. I think that's kind of lazy, to be honest. Another thing I didn't like was that the maps are very tiny, which totally feels like the game caters to SMGs pretty hard. Like, if you want to run an assault rifle or a light machine gun, you're almost always at a disadvantage, which I don't like. I like Call of Duties that make it so you can run any gun you want. And right now it feels like SMGs and snipers, because quickscoping is insane in this game, those dominate the game. I don't like how the maps are so tiny that SMGs just dominate. Quickscoping is completely broken. I'm gonna have a little clip for you of somebody quickscoping, and it's absolutely disgusting. Like, it looks super easy to do, and in the kill cam replay, their crosshair won't even be aimed on you. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know why sniping was changed from Black Ops 3. Back in Black Ops 3, you didn't have auto-aim on snipers, so it was a lot harder to quickscope and just snipe in general. But in this game, quickscoping totally needs to be nerfed. And that's actually the one complaint I have in this video that I think is not being addressed. Everything else, like half the stuff I'm going to mention to you, they said they're going to work on, or they said they're considering. Like, body armor is very controversial right now, so they said they're aware of the complaints, but they haven't said what they're going to do about it. But stuff like quickscoping needs to be fixed. I don't like that. Similar to how the maps are too small, I feel like the mobility perks are way too strong. Like the tier 2 perks, lightweight, dexterity, and there's a third one I'm forgetting right now, gung-ho. Those 3 are all way too strong. Like, if you're not running like one or both of those perks, it feels like you're at a severe disadvantage. And the reason why is because everybody is sliding around corners and jumping super high in this game. I've never played a game where jump shotting is so frustratingly effective. And I'm not playing this game with a modded controller where I can aim down sight while jumping. Like, my Battle Beaver controller broke a long time ago and I never fixed it. So I'm trying to play this game like a normal person with a normal controller, and I get into lobbies where people are just spamming jump and you cannot hit them worth of shit because they travel super high. Meanwhile, they're able to aim perfectly on you. So that was just making me tilt off the wall. The fact that sliding and jumping is so effective. They said they're going to tune it. We'll see if they get that working for next weekend. Right there, you saw my screen got really weird and dark. That's because they added some really bad visual distortions when you're getting shot at, so it's actually hard to see people a lot of times while you're getting shot at in gunfights. Like, the screen gets really dark to the point where it's like, hey man, you took enough bullets, we're just going to make you winning a gunfight even harder to get the upper hand in. Stuff like that I don't like. Also, you may have noticed that my RCXD car got stuck on a wall and completely flipped over. That's because the streaks in this game, just like the RC car and all the rest of them, not only are they way too expensive, but they're just not effective at all. The only decent kill streak is the Hellstorm missile, in my opinion, but the RC car is like 500 points to get. 500 points to get an RC car. Like every other Treyarch game, it's only 300. It's like 3 kills to get an RC car, and then 2 kills with hardline. For whatever reason, the RC car is like 500 points, and this thing is terrible. This thing gets stuck on rocks. My car actually flipped upside down on its back for the entire duration of it, and I'm like shaking the joystick trying to flip it over, and it's just stuck on its back. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, hey, I'm telling my friends, I'm like, hey, can one of you flip my RC car over? It's on its back right now. I saw a video where Thunder called in his RC car, and it got stuck the entire time on like a flower pot because the front wheels were stuck in the air. Like, I commend them for making it like an actual car, but it just doesn't make sense when you spent 5 kills trying to get it and it just doesn't do anything. And that goes for all the streaks in the game. All the streaks just feel super weak. There's a weird care package glitch going on where it just doesn't let you open the care package for whatever reason. Like, you can't interact with it at all. I don't know, just streaks are too expensive. They need to be lowered in price, and they need to be buffed across the board. I don't like the score changes that make it so that it's harder to get. Like Domination, if you cap a flag, it's only like 100 points now, and a capture kill is only 125. I remember in Black Ops 2, it was 200 for the capture and 200 for the capture kill as well. So they need to really change that. I wasn't a fan of the Seraph overall. I feel like the Seraph, the Annihilator pistol doesn't have enough sticky aim, and then you can have a really bad teammate running her team tactical insertion, and then they'll put it down in a bad spot, And it'll take you a while to realize when you're spamming X, because you know it's Call of Duty, you don't want to wait to pick your spawn. You're spamming X to come in before you realize, holy crap, me and my entire team are getting spawn killed because our Seraph just put the spawn beacon in a terrible place, and the enemy team is smart, they're not destroying it, they're taking advantage that we're all going to come back now. It's just like, stuff like this, I just have to take a second, pause, and think, like, what were they thinking?
Bravo secure.
But anyway, overall, there's some goofy attachments in this game. There's one mod for a submachine gun called Belt Fed where you can have a 600 round clip and you can just spray endlessly and you don't have to reload as long as you don't overheat it. Just weird, crazy stuff that makes me wonder, how does that sound balanced at all? I don't like how teammates' kill death ratios are not shown on the scoreboard. I get it, it's 2018, everybody's offended by everything. But I shouldn't have to click 2 buttons to select a teammate and see how they're performing. I just don't like that. In fact, a lot of things are hidden. When you get killed by an enemy, it doesn't show what perks and equipment they're using, which kind of limits the counter play that you can do, which is weird in a team-based shooter because you think, hey, this other team is doing really well. Maybe there's a way we can counter their perks or the equipment that they're running. But no, you only see their gun. Doesn't even tell you the name of the gun. It just plays the kill cam without actually showing perks or anything. So wasn't a huge fan of that. Overall, the new radar mechanic, the Fog of War, I get the intentions behind it, I just don't think it plays very well. In fact, I think it punishes good players who have awareness of knowing how to read the radar and checking the radar frequently. That's oftentimes the difference between a good and bad Call of Duty player, is that they know to pay attention and how to read the radar, and now it's just completely blurred out. Which also makes stuff like the acoustic sensor kind of overpowered because it's a 6th Sense perk from Black Ops 3, except it feels like the ping on this has way too much range and the cone is way too narrow, so it's way too easy to see exactly where enemies are. And overall, my experience playing this game, comparing it to other Call of Duties, is it's a lot harder to, you know, flank hard and kind of lone wolf it, which is what made the other Call of Duties fun. Between the health, it's really hard to get a double kill and get the jump on someone. And on top of that, the radar will actually... it's foggy except for directly in front of you and for whatever reason directly behind you. So you can actually flank somebody, but you'll appear on the radar before you even like shoot your weapon, which to me just defeats the purpose of flanking. Like, it feels like a lot of times this game rewards you for bunching up with your teammates instead of going out there and making plays on your own, which is, you know, what a lot of people like me like doing in Call of Duty. So overall, there's a lot of things that I feel like they need to fix. The assault rifles and the light machine guns, they need a buff into how fast they aim down sight in and out of sprinting. It feels like they're very sloppy and hard to use compared to a submachine gun. And I have high hopes for the next weekend of the beta. Overall, I had fun, but there's a lot of frustrating things. The frame rates, the connection interrupted that you guys saw earlier. I don't know how we're getting connection interrupted when in 2009 Modern Warfare 2 would have host migrations. Like, what happened to host migrations? What happened to dedicated servers? Like, this is a Treyarch game that they allegedly spent 3 years working on. It doesn't really feel like that. I don't know how everything is, like, really messy, but hopefully they fix it. Anyway, guys, this video was longer. This is more of hopefully a constructive review of Black Ops 4. Definitely going to try out the beta this weekend, see how they improved it, and I'll give my final beta review out there after I play it next weekend, after all the changes that they're going to make. But if you stuck around, saw the whole thing, I appreciate it, and I will catch you all next time. MCKOOKIE out.